Honorable Minister, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome to the program.
Thank you.
This meeting that was held here in London, what do you want Nigerians to take away from this year's Honorary International Investor Council meeting?
The Honorary Investor International Council, or rather, Honorary International Investor Council, is a council established in 2004 with the sole aim of advising the Nigerian government on how to get it right in investment. And it has done incredibly well over these 10 years. And it has gathered on common momentum between 2010 to date with the common President Goodluck Jonathan. And we're seeing increasing excitement from the council members, who are 98% non-Nigerians, who are looking at our system, from our infrastructures to our governance structure, to our political corruption, to our service industry, to our skills, and showing increasing satisfaction with the way the government has been consistently improving over the last 4 years. And the aim is to analyze our statistical, the way we are now, and then compare it with the global best practice, and then identify the practice gap and advise the government. And at the next meeting in 6 months, we take stock of how far were those observations addressed. I listened to the council members today giving out their comments, and they said this is the best meeting they have attended. Most importantly, now we have Clean Nigeria Business Initiative, which is 100% owned by non-Nigerians who look at our business environment, corporate bodies doing business in Nigeria, who identify issues of corruption, bureaucratic bottlenecks, and general mischiefs within the investment climate. I'll report back to the government, a kind of whistleblowing, and the government takes action. Earlier in the morning, Mr. President made a pronouncement in support of Clean Nigeria Business Initiative. So I think a lot is coming out of what we're doing.
Okay. During the council meeting, we've heard a lot about implementation. How are we, the diasporans, going to be able to monitor what is going on in Nigeria so that we can, project Nigeria in a positive image?
That's a very crucial question, and we've been worried about the perception thing, the image thing, how so much is happening, but so little is getting out. It was a key aspect of today's discussion, that we need to do a bit more within the international media to make sure that the right things we're doing are coming out as well. Naturally, the media goes for the bad things. It's our own now to make sure that there's so many things, 1,001 things we're doing right, are also coming out. And the Minister of Information was there, and the Minister of Information Technology too was there. The council members have expressed appreciation, or satisfaction rather, with the level of the positive information that has started coming out. There's a rating by the various rating agencies, the Fitch, the Moody's, and so on. These are quite positive stories coming out of Nigeria. Particularly the issue of insecurity, terrorism in northern Nigeria, kidnapping in the south, piracy, sea robbery, and so on. These are areas that the government have made substantial improvement. The terrorist networks have been disrupted. Most of them, especially the leadership, are either eliminated or under arrest. The dialogue had brought many of them on board who have now decided to abandon extremism and violence and embrace peace and dialogue. And these things are not coming out. So I think this is where the government too needs to really step up the publicity aspect of what is happening positively at home.
Any chance for any diaspora voting in 2015?
No chance for diaspora voting in 2015 because it will involve constitutional amendment. The president had spoken about 2 weeks ago in Gambia, Banjul, and much as he will have wished to see the Nigerian diaspora voting abroad, but the constitutional requirement that will be needed will not make it possible for diaspora to vote in 2015. But he has almost promised that 2019 he won't see the voice of the diaspora count.
All right, thank you very much, and Johnny Mercies when you go back to Nigeria.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
The question is that what is the government is doing to improve education in Nigeria, because our qualification is not valued here anymore. The last question.
Question on finance.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kate Honorary, a councillor from Enfield, former mayor of Enfield. My question is this. With regards to politics, can we get guarantee that we're going to have at least 40% women in the next election?
I think the CME has the largest chunk of questions here, then followed by the Minister of Information. So I'll start with the CME.
Yeah, I want to start by thanking His Excellency the Ambassador and his team. I've known the Ambassador for a long time, since I was Minister the first time. And he was supportive to me then, he's still supportive now. I want to really thank you for the work you and your team are doing. And also the fact that you have transformed the embassy, and when you see results, then you're encouraged to look for resources and do more. So it's delightful to see all of you. When the Deputy Mayor visited us the Deputy Mayor of London visited us in Nigeria, I joked to him that London is the second largest city in Nigeria. I'm not quite sure if he appreciated that humor, but it's great to see you all. Let me try to do the best I can with some of the questions. On the FSS 2020, it's not true that nothing is happening. Much is happening. The financial sector strategy is being implemented. The central bank did a lot to clean the system during the financial crisis of 2008, 2009 to strengthen the banking system. MPLs are down to 5% in the system. And, the question, our banks have really moved. If you look, they're in more than 14 countries now in Africa and establishing roots. So we hope that the idea of becoming the financial service center for West Africa will obtain. We have used AMCON as a vehicle to try and clean out the bad loans and allow the banks breathing room. And the way AMCON is structured is very different from that in any country, and is being commended. So what I want to say to you is that the vision is there, the implementation steps are on, and we've not lost sight of that goal. And I must say the central bank, along with ourselves in the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Planning, we have the supervising minister here, we've been working towards this. And there is a control framework, but we cannot be sanguine. The issue of risks within the system remain ever with us. And we must continue to look at the control framework we have. We are not satisfied that it's all it should be. So we have to continue strengthening it. On the issue of the health, I just want to say something. It's a very important question. And I'm delighted to see the two surgeons take out time to come and be with us. Yeah, my husband is a neurosurgeon who trained here. And so this matter is of great concern. And we are spending 2 to 3 billion. We've calculated it, naira a year, on the government side. To support healthcare. And this is not taking into account what individuals, private sector, is spending. It's very hard to get a handle on that, but we could calculate what we are spending. So this is a very important question, and the President is very, very keen for us to really turn this around. It links to the transformation of the healthcare system. But we have to, Chief Mrs. CMEC, I think I've got asked, we really need to work at several levels, and first is the specialist care level. At that level, the President, the Minister of Health is executing a plan, to try to get 6 specialist centers. There's actually a private sector group chaired by Tony Edomedu, who is working. The idea is to bring the private sector in, to try and help us solve this and turn some of these centers into places that people can use. Secondly, another group of the private sector, Aliko Dangote, Aigi Mokwede, and Jimovia, also got together and they set up the Private Healthcare Alliance, also with the goal of trying to get the private sector to help solve the problem. The idea is that the public sector has to admit that Nigerians are paying out of pocket so much for healthcare, and they are paying private sector. So we need to get them involved in the solutions. We also need to look at the secondary centers and what the states are doing. I know several governors, including my own governor in Abia State, has done a diagnostic center, refurbished Amachara Hospital as a secondary center. Akwa Ibom has done several, not just Cross River. The issue they keep talking about is they don't have the personnel to man those centers. So Akwa Ibom is building a large hospital, and he said to me last week, he doesn't have the personnel. They do a X-ray, and then they have to wait 2 or 3 days for a radiologist to come and read the results. So some people send the thing to South Africa to be read, which I found, yes, there's some centers that do that. I found that out, and I was totally taken aback. So we need to tap our talent, but we need to make it hospitable for them. It's not that easy as a diaspora to come back. The president has made tremendous effort to bring people from the diaspora into the system. I'm one, Chegun is one, there are several others who have come. But it's not that easy. You also on your part have to make an effort, because the tendency is to say, why does this person think they know more than me? What are they coming to do? So you have to also be patient, and so now there's an office under the SGF to help people in the diaspora. But let me round out in the healthcare by saying this. There's one very shining example of something going right I want to tell you about. It's the midwifery program, which has won the Commonwealth Award for one of the best midwifery services. It was started under the President's Saving 1 Million Lives program, which the Minister of Health and former Minister of State Health, Dr. Patrick, started. We are using cash transfers, conditional cash, to get women. And we are using the subsidy reinvestment funds. Those funds we got from the petroleum subsidy. It's being used to develop this service. I think over 11,000 health workers have been trained, 3,000 midwives. They go into the rural areas and they look at women prenatal. If you come in for a visit, you get a cash transfer. If you have an attended birth, you get another cash transfer. If you come back with a child for immunization, you get a third one. And this program is being done in 8 pilot states, and it's working. 400,000 lives have been saved. We have a very high maternal mortality rate. So with this, we have been able to bring maternal mortality down from 545 per 100,000 to 350 per 100,000. And the goal is 250, which is the MDG goal. We are not there yet, but hopefully in the next 3 or 4 years, we'll get there. That's one example, but we need to do much, much more. I think, let me stop there. On education, I just want people to know that on the ASU, the president has pledged to ASU 200 billion naira for infrastructure development, 30 billion naira for earned allowances, which they say, that they've earned, and another 10 billion, they've already gotten 30 billion, and 10 billion coming, and 200 billion has been put for infrastructure development, with a promise of 220 billion each year. So that is a strong commitment by the president, and if that doesn't show his political will to do things, I don't know what else will. So that's what I wanted to share with you. The money for the first tranche is actually in a special account which has been opened. So I just wanted to share that information.
How many women will be in the next one thing is, this administration has tried to mainstream women, into governance very seriously, particularly at the appointed level, at the federal level. The president has done so much in doing that. That's why you see most of the leading lights in the government today are women. CMA is one clear example. Our sister, Mobola Johnson, who has communication technology, petroleum, Desiani, aviation, Stella, water resources. So, in other words, honestly, you can almost say today that Nigeria is being run by women in several respects.
I wouldn't go that far.
She will not go that far, but you also remember she's the coordinating minister of the economy. So you can see that a lot of the coordination is coming from women, and we have seen a lot of benefits in giving women opportunity like the president has done. I think that coordinating between the president and the first lady, then Dr. Patient, there a lot of pressure, you know, and campaign for inclusion of women. And at the federal level, I think that has been well demonstrated. If you go to the judiciary, it's not only the chief justice of the federation, even the acting president of the court of appeal and several others who also have women. About 15 permanent secretaries at the federal level. So a lot of efforts are going on to include women under this administration. But in terms of election, because when you are talking of elections, it's a different matter altogether. Because then you have to stand for election to be elected. You know, and so as we see all over the world, there is a limit to what you can dictate. Maybe if we have a system like operates in South Africa or India, where really you don't go to parliamentary elections as individuals, but after the votes, seats are allocated to be filled by the number, what is the percentage of the votes you vote in the general election, and then you can fix in your parliamentarians. In that way, you can say, well, let us give this percentage to women. But across the country, there is greater pressure today, and women are gaining more confidence. Nenadi just came here. She was former Minister of Finance. Now she's a senator. And there are so many other who are really standing out to be counted. And you know, it's a gradual process. In Germany, for a very long time, we never knew that a woman would be the chancellor of Germany. Today, she's run almost the top time now, beating all the men in Germany. So the question about that's right. And she has done such a great job running the German economy that we were able to weather all the storms. Now, in Britain here, the story is the same. Women are coming up all over the world, and Nigerian women are educated, confident, and I can tell you that the sky is your limit, but you must be brave and step out to stand for elections, you know, win those elections, and also cooperate when women are standing for elections. Women should support them. So most of the time you find that it's not easy. Women will stand for elections and women will not support them. So there is a need for that kind of cooperation. So it's not an easy game, as the men will tell you, but I can assure you that some of us would like the women to take a lot of pressure from us because men are dying faster because of pressure.
Just before I hand over the mic to the next minister to speak, it reminds me of a joke. Before, in Nigeria, is behind every successful man, there's a woman. And then we were passing by one day and we saw another cliche that besides every successful man, there's a woman. And then we look over our shoulder and wondered whether in 20 years' time we'll not be in front of. So I think the women are moving quite fast. Minister of Trade Investment would like to put in a few words about the skills gap. And there are two important and critical issues that have not been raised by anyone here. That's the power situation in Nigeria and the security situation. I was guessing the audience and fully aware that those questions were in the audience but were not asked. So we have able hands who will respond to such questions even when they are not asked. So I will yield the floor to the Minister of Trade and Investment, Dr. Ganga, who will inform us about the skills gap, and then of course HIIC and what we are achieving.
Thank you very much. I want to comment on four main areas. The first one, I think, is on the medical care. I think Stanley raised it, and Ngozi has responded in terms of what the government is doing. What I want to talk about is what the diaspora medical care, so you should be aware of what's going on. Yes, the government has prioritized medical care. We want to turn Nigeria into a place where people come to for medical tourism. Even here in the UK, you are sending your patients outside the UK, to India, to other countries. There's no reason why they can't send it to Nigeria. And that's our aspiration. What the medical doctors are doing, which I want to share with you, is at least I'm working with 3 groups of medical doctors, 2 from the States and 1 from the United Kingdom. You can play a role in it. In the United States, we have at least 20,000 medical, not just doctors, consultants over there. According to, I think that's what President Obama told the president. And there are groups there that are looking at coming to Nigeria, coming back home to set up first-class medical centers in the country. They have the challenge. They have the knowledge, they have the skill, they have the exposure. It's how do you enter the Nigerian market, and how do you attract investments? Because they don't have the capital to do it unless they use their house as collateral to borrow money and do that. I live here, so I know what it is like. So what we're working with them, we've gotten some specialists to help them put together a business plan, and we will help them look for investors who will invest. They will come with their technical knowledge, have some business share. So there's a first model we'll try and work and see if that works. So I'm sharing that with you to let you know that you too can play a role and take advantage of that situation. That's number one. The issue about skills, I think you asked the question on skills. And as you heard from Ngozi and the others, there's a big shortage of skills in the country. So when you talk about medical, what I hear, it's not just about setting up the hospitals. The nurses, everyone, you need to train them regularly. I know that. So there's shortage of skills everywhere. This morning, we were talking about Alico's investment in the petrochemical sector. He's going to invest about $9 billion in an integrated petrochemical plant that will produce fertilizer, petroleum products, and all that. I call that a game-changer investment. Because if that goes ahead, by 2017, Nigeria will no longer import petroleum products. So it's critical and important. But what I want to say is that during the construction, he will employ about 8,000 engineers. We don't have them in the country. And what I know we used to do here, you have medical association. Stanley, you were chairman at one stage. I think the engineers, Onobolu was chairman at one stage or the other. I think it's a case of you organizing yourselves into a different skills group. And you can set up training institutions in the country. We'll find a way for you to get paid for doing that. And you can come and work in the country. So I think it's more a case of you organizing yourself into that sector rather than me saying or saying there are gaps in it, because there are gaps everywhere. I think that's the second question, the second point I want to make. The third point I want to make is about we have Nigerians and naturally entrepreneurs, wherever they are, whether they're in the UK, the US, in Nigeria. We have a big group in Nigeria. Today we say we have about 17.25 million MSMEs in the country, employing close to about 32 million people. Now they have this, but we have some SMEs here as well. You have the capital because you can borrow at low DD rates. I used to borrow here and invest in the country at very, very low rates of interest. You can borrow, but you also have the know-how. When you're looking about investments, you need capital, you need the know-how, you need the market, you need the raw materials, okay? We have the market, we have the raw materials in Nigeria. You can borrow here, you have the technical know-how. So you can collaborate, even if you don't want to come in and set up in Nigeria. I know Bimbo is doing something on the MSMEs. He had a very successful program here. When was that? April or sometime last year? June. Okay, and it's planning supported by the High Commissioner here. And he's trying to do something similar in April next year. So there are so many ideas you can do. Another area which I think you may want to look into. Again, we have a big population. Lord Green, Stephen Green and I were thinking about getting the diaspora group and see how they can work with the SME group in Nigeria. We want to increase trade. One other area in terms of trade also, which you may want to consider, is that we have a big population, UK contingent here, your country, our president here, you have about 2 million Nigerians here in the United Kingdom. Now, there's no reason why we cannot leverage on that and you cannot make money from that. Meaning that there's no reason why we cannot import or export our products here. Here, you set up the Nigerian mall here. 4 or 5 of you can set up a cooperative, you can start a company, create a big Nigerian mall market somewhere. An Indian is doing that in this country. If an Indian is saying, why can't a Nigerian do that and make money out of it? So we have a program called the Nigerian Diaspora Export Program. It was introduced to the diaspora group the last time you came. There was a function in Nigeria which was hosted by the SGA. We had a workshop with the diaspora group who came, and NEPC spoke to them, Smiljan spoke to them about how you can be part of that program. We have the guidelines. We will help you with what we need to do to make sure that we find the right people for your suppliers to work with you. We make sure that we talk to customs, it works. And the government today, Minister of Aviation, is thinking of setting up perishable cargo airports in the country. So it will make it easier for you to have those centers there, and then you can export here. That is what the Chinese have done better than most other countries. If you go to Staples Corner, there's anyone that lives North London, Women, whatever. Is it Women? What is it called? That the Chinese is still there. That we all go there to buy Chinese products there. I was just talking to, I was telling you, I met with a group of Nigerians here, about 4 or 5 of them, that are looking at setting up these the consignment centers or Nigerian malls. I hope the first one that we will inaugurate or launch will be here in the United Kingdom. The guys in the United States are looking at this. The guys in the Netherlands are looking at it. South Africa is looking at it. I want to do as many as possible when end of this administration. I hope and wish that London will be the first one we'll do. But the opportunities here are huge. I example of our product, Indomie. The Indomie guy came to see me one day, and one of my little daughters was there. I said, well, who's that man? And I said, oh, it's Indomie. He said, Indomie? I said, yes. He said, I'd like to meet him. I said, oh, why? You know, I know that. Now, she schools here, and a lot of Nigerian girls come from Nigeria here. And she tasted the Nigerian Indomie. She went home and told her mother, I want you to order Indomie from Nigeria. And the mother said, no, there's Indomie here. So no, they don't taste the same. When I spoke to the owner of Indomie, he said, yes, he laughed. He said, the Nigerian Indomie is different from the one we sell in the United Kingdom. In fact, the Nigerian one is tastier than anywhere in the world. So you can import that and sell here. I'm just giving you some examples. I spoke to a grandmother about 2 weeks ago. Her granddaughter went to Greece to study. And she said, oh, she's complaining, she's trying to go to settle. And that her daughter has come to see her. So what? The food. And the next thing we got a phone call from the granddaughter, smiling and said, thank you, Grandma. I saw those 4 cartons of Indomie you sent me. You know, it's a brand name. It's going on over there. So there's a lot you can do. We can work together. While you're doing that, you're making money. I'm not asking charity to make money in that process. But while you're doing that, we are helping our trade position with the United Kingdom. We are helping to create jobs back home. And what I tell people who want to go into it, help us with product development as well. Because as you are selling here, you can tell us what's wrong with the packaging, what's wrong with the labeling, what's wrong in other areas. We will work with you. So we have that program. It's a Nigerian Diaspora Export Program, and it is designed for you. Thank you very much.